Hey everyone, welcome back to the Throttle Talk. On this episode, we'll be covering the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. So this is basically a breakdown of what happened during the race weekend. So what do you think of it, boys?
Uh, Interesting weekend. I think the
Yeah.
race was really good, and
hmm
everyone was close in terms of pace. I mean, in the top four teams, I think Merck was a bit off, but other than that, the rest of them were close. Then the weekend also had a lot of
Top five race
storylines
in my
behind it,
opinion.
like Colapinto and Behrman replacing the more experienced teammates.
hmm
What do you guys think?
Top five race this calendar,
Yeah,
in this calendar year, I believe.
I agree.
And yeah,
Yeah.
it was constant action. Like you couldn't get away from it, which was very good. It's good to see that coming back to the sport.
hmm
Yeah, I hope to see that in the future as well. What do you guys think?
Also, it's very interesting to see that the rookies, I mean, so-called rookies are like really talented.
Yeah.
Like Franco outperforming Sargent in just two races than what Sargent did in the whole F1 career so far. And
Yeah.
then Bevan, the only driver in history scoring points in two F1 teams in the same
See.
season is pretty cool. So, yeah.
Hmm. I
Also on like this race weekend, Checo I think had like a really good one until the big crash.
yeah.
Hmm.
And Lando also I'd say was he had a mega race. P17 to P4 was like phenomenal by him.
Okay.
And Oscar Piastri also did pretty good. Like, I mean, he was lacking on pace like initially, but then he caught on again. And the overtake, I think, in the last, when was it? Like the last 5, 6 laps were left, and
For
that's when
30
he got
laps.
the overtake.
It wasn't too
Last
early,
30 laps.
I mean, too late into the race.
It wasn't too
Okay.
late. It was a very long battle.
It was like right after
Mhm.
the pit stops. I think 1 or 2 laps after his pit stop and the lap
Yeah.
after.
Yeah.
Stop.
Seeing
Oh,
the race finishing under the virtual safety car was also something different. So, yeah, I think that was like a pretty good race weekend, I'd say, for me at least. So,
it was very fun to
yeah.
see uh,
Yeah.
Oscar defend for like 20, 30 laps continuously coming
hmm
down from into turn one. Uh,
hmm
Even though Leclerc had the DRS open,
hmm
which is I think a whole 12 kilometers per hour of extra pace. Seeing him defend against that every single lap was crazy.
hmm
I'm not sure if you all saw this, but there seems to be a new controversy like stirring because apparently when McLaren is in the straight line speed, right, there's a small part of the wing opening up because it's flexible wing. I
Yeah.
don't think it's going to end up being a big thing, but at least right now,
People
I
are talking
think some
about
fans on the internet are they're talking about it.
yeah, fair enough.
Also, a lot of investigations. There's like a McLaren investigation that was going on immediately after the race, and there was one I think on Verstappen also after the race.
Hmm.
So yeah, I think that's about it.
Okay. Okay. Let's get on to qualifying. And let's start off with Q1. So the drivers that went out were Ricardo, Norris, the two Kick Saubers, and Ocon. There's one big shock here that I think no one expected. Agastya, what's your opinion on Norris going out in Q1?
So obviously it is a shocker, but I don't think it's completely his fault. I think this happens when you're like having qualifying in Baku. I think McLaren should have probably given him a lap a little bit sooner, given him a chance sooner. It was too much towards the end, and it is quite risky while doing that in Baku especially.
Hmm.
That lap he was on would have definitely been in probably third or fourth easily. He would have definitely made the cut, but I think he just got a little bit unlucky, and I think these kind of things just happen in like street circuits. Just can't do anything about it.
Fair enough. I mean, they didn't, I agree with you, they didn't have to go too late. Obviously, there was a lot of track evolution because they
Mhm.
started off the weekend being 5 seconds off the pace. The track was
Yeah.
evolving really quickly. So they could have gone or given him a leeway of 1 lap, maybe gone a minute earlier and avoided this whole debacle. But still, I guess you can only speak with hindsight.
Yeah.
Let's get on to Q2. The drivers who are knocked out in Q2 are Behrman, Tsunoda, Gasly, who later got a technical DQ, but he was still there in Q2, Hulkenberg, and Stroll. I think another big shock here is Ollie Behrman almost qualifying into Q3 and beating Hulkenberg.
Yeah. I mean, it's really interesting usually because Hulkenberg has been doing much better than Magnussen so far in the season, and then Behrman just replaces him for one race, Magnussen for one race, and then he's outperformed him not only in the race but even in quali. So good job by him.
I mean, Behrman is a solid driver, but he's not uh, lighting the grid on fire in F2. He seems like an average driver.
Correct.
I think that just speaks about the quality of the grid that's there in F2 at the moment.
And the Haas car was
True.
just built different this whole weekend. I don't know what they pulled out, what they did, but
Yeah,
it's working. It's
it
working.
really
It
looks
was
solid.
a very strong like midfield contender. I mean, I wouldn't say it's up there, but like it showed like very good pace for them at least.
Yeah, even in the race, we'll get into that when we talk about the race. Let's go to Q3.
I mean, another driver I was really impressed by was Sonoda. Obviously, we spoke about him in the Ricardo segment, but uh, out qualifying it such an experienced teammate by such a big margin, like 5 places. That's a really big margin in my opinion. I would have expected Ricardo to be a bit closer, but obviously he couldn't put the lap together. A bit of a shock. Okay, let's get on to Q3. Quite an interesting session, quite a dominant one for Leclerc. So, like a
But
solid.
like I think the surprise here was Colapinto, right? His quali went
Yeah.
like pretty good, and then yeah, I think he went out to score points also in the race, right?
Yeah, he turned to score
Yes.
Finished ahead.
finish
Yeah.
8.
Not just Colapinto, actually, though. Williams' car in general
Both,
also was
yeah.
very good this whole weekend.
I mean,
I mean, they took.
thing took place in Q3, if you remember, for the Williams. Albon coming out with the fan still attached to his car.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He had to knock out.
Yeah.
I mean, these teams are functioning at such a world-class level. It's a mistake that's a bit unacceptable in all honesty.
Yeah.
And it's really unexpected. I mean, when do you see stuff like this happening? Yeah, I think he was
Yeah.
even investigated after the session for an unsafe release for this, right?
Yeah. But even in the race, Albon was holding up. I think it
Norris and
was
Verstappen, I think, right?
Norris and Verstappen. Yeah, he was holding them up very well. I don't know how he managed to do it for so many laps. But yeah, he did a good job in doing that as well. That Williams car was also good, like the Haas. Much better, actually.
I've expected Colapinto to be this close. I thought after the crash he had in practice, his confidence would be dampened a little bit. But the way he came back in qualifying was really solid. I mean, obviously,
Came back in the race.
this Q3 session was not like a good representation of where Albon would have been because Albon didn't really get to do his final lap because by the time he crossed the finish line, the session was over because of the mistake we spoke about previously. But I feel throughout the weekend he was not too far away from Albon, maybe a tenth or two away generally, and even on certain occasions being faster than Albon.
Yeah.
Then we have Alonso after that. Alonso P8, I mean, solid. I don't think he could have gotten much more out of it. What's your guys' opinion?
I think for him to get into Q3 only is a big deal. I don't think that Aston Martin has that much pace also. I think it was mistakes of other drivers like Norris and all. I think that's one of the reasons why the Williams and probably Alonso got into Q3. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't say it's only mistakes. They did have the pace, like the Williams, like didn't have pace even in quali.
I mean,
Yeah, but that case probably the Albon might have got it or Colapinto would have gotten to Q3. It would have been very hard for them to knock out on the top 40.
Yeah. I mean, I do agree, but like I wouldn't say it's solely because of like other drivers like messing up that they've quali. Some cars they really did show like some strong pace even in quali and throughout the race too. So yeah.
I have the lap times here. Actually, if Norris was to have a proper lap in Q1 and then proceed to get into Q3, Albon would be the one knocked out. So,
Yeah.
over Color Pinto, that would be another shock. Okay, let's move
Yep.
on. After that, we have our two boys' favorite driver, Lewis Hamilton, in P7.
Oh, and then he did take a new engine component and
I mean,
started on the
good
pit
track.
stop.
It's a track to pretty easy to overtake on. So I think
Yeah.
good decision to take this thing,
Yeah.
the penalty. But the the position he's qualified in and the pace he lacked this weekend in comparison to Russell was quite a shock to me.
Yep.
I want to know
I
your
mean, Russell only plays because of the big crash. Okay, that's all I have to say. But
that's
like,
the race. We'll get
I
on
mean,
that.
yeah, Russell did have pace throughout. I wouldn't say like, but that's obviously because Hamilton's leaving the team, and
I
yeah,
mean, yeah, fair enough.
And
But
to be fair, I think Hamilton also only scored points because of the crash.
yeah,
So
that's also
that's the same thing.
have it two ways.
Yeah, I don't think Hamilton had race pace also like that great race pace. He was slightly, I think hard weekend for him overall. So
yeah.
yeah, I guess
I
it's
mean,
okay. That's I think smart. Yeah,
The
yeah,
mark
good.
lately hasn't been showing like that much pace. So for
Hmm.
George to get like a podium out of that,
Russell has shown the
I
pace.
think it's a big moment for the team.
Russell has qualified. I mean, he's not even too far away. He's 2 tenths away from Piastri, who's second. Not even two
No,
tenths.
that no, that's what I said. For them to like get a podium with the car they're running currently, I think that's a pretty big deal for the team.
Yeah. Okay, moving on from one big name of Lewis Hamilton to another. P6 is Verstappen. Oof. Out qualified by Perez after quite a while.
Perez.
Yeah, this
I
was a
mean,
bit of, I mean,
Perez is the king of Baku, right?
yeah,
So
fair enough.
he's
Perez good around Baku, but you've seen the way he's been driving in the past, let's say, 10 races. It was.
yeah.
I used to feel that Perez was strong at the start of the season, and he has a better inclination towards street tracks. But I didn't expect it to be this solid, at least this weekend.
He drove very well in the race as well, but he just got unlucky, kind of, I would say.
Yeah, I mean,
Because, oh, wait, I mean, the crash was crazy. Whose fault do you think it was?
I feel it
I
was
think
fine.
it was science. Yeah.
Let's get on to that when we discuss the race.
Later, yeah, we'll get him.
Okay, now it's time for the top three. Where can we have everybody's predictions?
Okay, our quali predictions. I'll start from uh Agastya.
Let me say the order actually first, so that we have something to compare to.
Yeah.
So, in third place we have Sainz. In second place we have Piastri, and in first place we have Leclerc.
Yeah, yeah.
One big thing is Leclerc's dominance. I don't think the
Yeah.
results show it, but he was by and far he was clear the whole qualifying session. Okay, let's get on to our predictions with
Yeah, our predictions. I'll start off with Agastya, who said the quali order would be P3 Russell, P2 Piastri, and P1 Lando.
okay, he scored a
So,
point. We have to appreciate that at least.
yeah, but it's
That is
just so
sure.
funny looking back that he said P1 Lando.
To be
I mean,
fair, he
everybody
probably would
expected
have.
Lando.
Huh?
Probably, to be fair, he probably would have qualified P1 if he did not make that mistake
Oh
in
wait, you
Q1. So he
had
would have been probably top two at least.
you
I don't know.
No.
runs in qualifying and even practice. He wasn't
Mhm.
Fair
was
enough.
quicker than Piastri. He was in and around Piastri's pace. And Leclerc just
Definitely
had
True,
not
fair enough.
P1.
everybody. So there's no way he's gonna go and qualify pole.
But like
I mean,
everybody
Fair enough.
expected Lando to at least like go or make it to Q1 and like probably be like top four or top five. But 17 and quali, that was like a big hit for him, I'd say.
To be fair, Piastri did say it was the messiest lap of his life. So I mean, you never know. If Lando would have nailed the lap, maybe he could have been in the fight also. To be fair.
Yeah.
Wait, let's get on to someone else's predictions.
Okay, so Agastya just got a point for himself.
Mm-hmm.
For that, next we have Anurag, who said P1 Lando, P2
Uh-huh.
Verstappen, and P3 Piastri.
Okay.
Okay, so he scored
P2 Verstappen.
nothing.
Yeah.
What's your
Yeah,
explanation?
he didn't get.
P2 Verstappen. I wonder what you were thinking.
No,
No, P2 Verstappen, like, see, Perez obviously showed that the car had pace, making it P4 in quali, right? Obviously, because Verstappen has been performing much better than him throughout this season. I only expected him to do good. But, like, yeah, obviously, some things didn't go his way. And, yeah. I mean, Lando also, yeah, I was expecting Lando to make it to P1. But, like, him also P17 was, like, a big hit in the gut for me, I guess.
Okay. Wait,
Yeah.
what about me? What were my predictions?
There's no way you laughed at Anurag's predictions because you said Max P1, P2 Piastri, and P3 Sainz.
Wait,
There's
wait,
no.
wait. I predicted P2 Piastri and P3 Science, right?
Yes, I agree with that, but
So that's
P1 Max.
point.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, technically
Oh.
I'm winning, but my prediction was a bit stupid. I do have to agree.
Yeah.
Wait, what about you? What was your
Last,
prediction?
Wait.
Mhm.
Can I get a
lastly,
point for
mine, I said.
predicting Norris's mistake?
No.
Come on.
No,
No.
no, no.
No, no,
You
no.
Nah,
did, you
you
did
said
not say
Q3.
Norris will make a mistake in Q3. You said Q1. You said Q3, not
I
Q1.
said Norris will make a mistake. Or I said
Ah,
he qualify in the
Nah.
top 10. I mean, top 5.
You said he'll make a mistake in Q3. He didn't even make it to Q3.
yeah.
Lastly,
But yeah,
my
moving
predictions.
on.
My predictions were, yeah, mine were Piastri P1, P2 Lando, and P3 Leclerc. So
You have
Uh-huh.
predicted nothing.
yeah, yeah.
So you
But
and Butler are at the bottom together.
yeah, so far.
Okay, no.
Race
Let's
prediction.
get on to the race. So,
Yeah, let's talk about it first. Let's talk about it. Yeah.
Yeah.
so obviously Tsunoda, after he had his incident with Stroll, both of them ended up retiring. I mean, not too interesting.
Mhm.
I don't think anyone particularly cares about Aston Martin and a RB crashing.
But to be fair, that was Stroll's
But
mistake. It was
yeah,
not Tsunoda's.
What?
I
I
think,
mean, expected from Stroll, I'd say.
yeah, it's just Stroll being Stroll and then blaming the other driver. So I don't
Yeah.
think it was Tsunoda's mistake, but I think, yeah, nothing we can really
After
do.
that, we have
Of-
Hulkenberg. I mean,
Mhm.
solid weekend. If we didn't see Behrman this weekend and he would have out qualified and beaten Magnussen, we'd all be saying,
Mhm.
what a weekend by Hulkenberg. But now that we have seen a rookie come into the same car and finish in the points, finish ahead of him, I think it speaks about the fact how much room there is for improvement in the drivers section, at least for Haas. What do you guys
Yeah.
feel?
But it's also the question of which promising driver like Behrman. Like, if you think Kimi Antonelli, if he had the option to come to Haas, he would. I don't think so.
If he didn't have the Merc seat, yes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
obviously,
because
beggars can't be choosers.
Any
But
any F2 driver at the moment, he would go to the Haas if there was no seat available in F1 and no other seat.
obviously,
yeah,
Yeah, and this speaks
I mean,
about
I think it would. I mean, like, it also comes with a grain of salt for Berman because it's good to have a seat rather than not have anything. And he learned from it. But also, having your rookie season on like a team that's only a midfield player, I think that's gonna take a little bit toll on him. But yeah, he'll be able to learn from it and like gain a good amount of experience, I'd say.
okay. I mean,
Yeah,
really impressive weekend for him, especially beating
yeah, yeah.
Hulkenberg in his first weekend with Haas. That I think that's a good
Hmm.
sign for next year, definitely.
yeah.
Yeah.
And next year, his teammates Ocon, that's gonna be a bit interesting, especially with Ocon's history with teammates in the past.
And
Okay,
also like looking at Ocon's pace and Berman's pace, I think Berman's already set himself up for like a good entry into the next season. So
okay,
yeah, there's
okay.
a lot of high expectations, I'd say.
Talking about one Brit, let's move on to the GOAT, Lewis Hamilton. I mean, not a goated drive at all. Starting from the pit lane,
I mean,
he would not have scored points if it was not for the science crash.
That's true. Yeah.
That's not a good result in the car he's in at the moment, because Russell has shown if it was not for the science crash, he'd have finished fifth on track, and after the science crash, he's finished third. So he's really showing the car has the potential to be fighting in the top five, top three. So Hamilton should have definitely come back to the points. Ideally, in a best case scenario, he should have been ahead of both Williams, in my opinion.
And I literally, yeah, like while watching the race, I literally in the starting of the race, I only watched it from Hamilton's camp to see like if he's actually going to pull off a last to first challenge. And initially, he was doing very well in the race, and the latter stages only he fell off a bit.
I feel the Williams is like, I think because of its top speed, it's really hard to pass. I think that's what even Norris occurred when before the pit stop when he caught up to Albon. I think
Mhm.
I'm not talking about the Williams. I'm saying even Bamman was pulling off a little bit from Lewis a bit, like in for like 3 laps I think, and then Lewis caught up to him.
yeah, I'm just saying in general, that whole train once the DRS train starts and the Williams at the head of it, no one's passing the Williams.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on to the two Williams.
Go ahead, go ahead, go ahead.
See, they, as we spoke in the last segment, the two Williams are the kings of top speed, let's just say. No one's passing them. So if they start in a good position, let's just say in the top 10 or maybe just outside it, no one's going to pass them, especially on these type of tracks where there's only one passing zone in general. Like in on Baku, it's only the first corner where you can really pass. After that, I
Well,
mean, you
that's the
have the,
First and second. Yeah.
you do have the second DRS zone, which is after the second corner, I think, but it's not long enough really to make a move. And rest of the track is so narrow that you can't even drive around the dirty air, so you really struggle to stay close. So it's a
Mhm.
other than the first corner where you need ultimate top speed to pass, there's no other area to pass. Next up, we have another big name, Verstappen.
Mhm.
I think a shocking race for him. Like it's totally unexpected. How has he finished 77 seconds behind the club? I mean, obviously he had the pit stop at the end for the new soft tires, I think to try and get the fastest lap.
Mhm.
But still, Norris was a solid, what, 15, 16 seconds behind him after the pit stop, and he's caught up and passed him
Yep.
on track. I think Agastya is definitely happy about this.
Yeah, for sure. If he keeps this consistency, hopefully it will go down to the last race. We'll see.
What is the gap now? I think it's about 60 points in the championship, right?
Yeah.
50
Yeah.
something. Yeah.
59, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah. I think if the one really bad race for Verstappen and the championship is blown wide open, and I can't
Mhm.
put it down for even Leclerc. I mean, it's quite close.
But
We'll see.
are you
It's
not
all will probably
expecting
go down to the
Agastya,
I
are you
mean, this
sorry.
championship is still Verstappen's to lose. I mean, whoever might be the person
Hmm.
who's benefiting from that, be it Norris or Leclerc, championship is still very much Red Bulls and Verstappen's to lose as well. I mean, they already, McLaren's
Red Bull
already
has
leading
already
in
lost?
constructors.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah,
I
I
mean,
mean,
what do you guys think? Does Max hold on to it till the end of the season?
Max
Wade
has
had something
started
to say.
complaining about the car more than driving it. Like, okay, I get it. It's not a good car anymore, but deal with it. You can't do anything about it.
I
There's no
mean,
point
fair
of
enough.
complaining about the car. He complains about the car, the circuit, literally the shadows. Like, drive the car. Look at Perez. At least he got somewhere. Don't just start complaining about it just because it's not going well for you.
Yeah. I feel Max does definitely hold on to the lead till the end of the season. But if he keeps having races like this where Norris is coming from the back and still beating him, I don't think he's gonna win it.
Mhm.
Let's
But you
move
can say
on.
the
I
same thing
think
about
that
Norris right
yeah,
now.
at the current pace which Verstappen has, I think it will be quite close towards the end because the gap is not that far off. Because if Lando had the pace like this during qualifying, he would definitely been in the top two, and that the points gap will help Norris a lot. And with about 8 races left, Norris
Seven,
can
I
easily take over. So if Red Bull doesn't fix this soon, I think it will be quite close.
podium.
As Akshat said, if You talked about Max always messing up, but Lando also did mess up this time. If
That's
he
true.
keeps on doing this as well, it's not
Yeah.
looking good for
And
him.
Agastya, one more thing you have to take into account is if Norris has one bad race, the championship is over.
Mm.
That's also true. Yeah.
Okay,
I
let's
mean,
move
he
on to
can't
the.
afford to do that if he's like looking at like his world championship. If Norris is looking at his world championship, I don't think he can afford to have a bad race anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on to the podium. Let me say the results before we talk about predictions. In third place, we have Russell. I mean, he is the big benefiter of the Sainz and Perez crash.
Yep.
I mean, the pace was solid for him. He did catch up to Verstappen
Mhm.
and pass him on track, but I think that speaks more about Max's issues than it does of Russell's pace. What do you guys feel, Ved and Wadla, about Russell having such pace and Hamilton being so far down?
I mean, it's a big moment for the team because like having a podium in that car, I think it's like a good moment to celebrate. I mean, in like this half of the season, the car just did not have the pace, I think, for being being in front of the field. But obviously, like I said before, probably because Hamilton is leaving the team, they're like keeping some things from him, and like that's affecting him a little bit. But yeah, the car obviously does have pace, but yeah.
Huh?
Russell also did say in the like post race interview that he didn't want to celebrate this too much because it wasn't an actual podium.
Yeah, it wasn't deserved. I mean,
It
yeah, fair
wasn't
enough.
deserved.
Good that he has that awareness about the result.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about the top two now. The main two of this weekend, I'd say Leclerc and Piastri. I feel Piastri's drive was something else this
What
weekend.
a battle
Yeah.
that whole race.
A solid 30 lap battle. And
Yeah.
I feel Piastri deserved it. Solid drive. Leclerc also drove really well. I feel Ferrari did scuff him a bit with the strategy. He should
Mhm.
have he should have won the race. I mean, with the pace he had in the first stint, but I don't know why Ferrari kept him out on track like before the pit stop for so long. I mean, even Perez was
Mhm.
on his gearbox after the pit stops.
It was pretty contradictory
But
to
like,
see actually because in not qualifying, sorry, practice, he was complaining a lot about the car Leclerc, and then to see how much he dominated in quali, to then how well he drove
mhm.
in the race. It didn't. The results don't reflect it, but he did drive very well.
Yeah.
And I still don't know why he was complaining in the practice though.
I mean, there are obviously problems with the car, but like 10 seconds after like such a good battle they had, I think that was like just showing that how far ahead McLaren is with the race pace and everything.
I mean,
And also Norris proves my point because from P17 to P4, that just shows like the pace McLaren has right now. So
I
yeah, that's what
don't
I'd
think
say.
McLaren had particularly good pace because if you remember, Sainz was about 10 seconds away from the whole Piastri Leclerc battle, and he did catch them.
Hmm.
Obviously, this 10-second gap is not representative because one, the VSC came out on the last lap. You don't know what pace the drivers are doing. And
Yeah.
obviously, then Leclerc and Perez started fighting. And at
Hmm.
that point is when Sainz also got involved into the fight. So when there's a three-way battle, obviously the drivers are bound to lose a lot of time. So I feel
Hmm.
Ferrari did have the pace on McLaren this weekend in terms of the race and qualifying as well. Okay,
Hmm.
let's move on to our predictions.
Yeah.
Yes.
Ved, who are you going to
So
start off with?
I'll start off with Agastya again. He
Hmm.
said that your race winner would be Piastri. He said P2 Lando and P3 Max. Oh, Max.
1 point.
Hmm.
We do me and him have the same prediction?
Yeah, 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 you
Okay.
do.
'Cause
Yeah, so
I
Akshat
remember
also has
myself
the
also
same.
having similar predictions.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
so you both get a point.
So right now the standings are
Wait,
me at 3 points and Agastya at two, right? And both of you
Wait,
at
I'll
zero.
tell you. Wait,
Yeah. Wait.
one sec.
Let's
yeah,
look.
yeah.
Let's listen about Wade. Another Anurag's predictions.
Oh yeah, Anurag said P1 Max P2
Mhm.
Piastri and P3 Lando.
So he's gotten nothing.
Okay.
Yeah,
I don't know. I mean, see, Piastri was not far off, so we'll give that to him at least.
Mhm.
So
No
Anurag
points,
ended
but
the weekend with
some
0
credit.
points in predictions.
Huh?
but P1 Max is very funny.
Yeah, P1 Max is insane in the race. I
Bro,
said it
I
early.
expected them to turn something over because it was a street circuit and like they've been performing good on street circuits.
Yeah, fair
So
enough.
I expected them to do
Yeah.
something with that. But like, yeah.
Wait, what are your predictions?
Oh, mine, I said P1 Lando, P2 Piastri, and I backed my boy P3 Hamilton. It didn't work out.
So
His
both
P3
of you have 0 points from the weekend.
Yeah.
3, 2.
Well, lastly, we have our winners and losers prediction, like who we thought would be overall winners and losers of this race. Let's start with Akshat, who said the winners would be McLaren and the losers would be Merc. What do we think about that?
I think McLaren is right. They were the winners. But I don't think Mercs are the losers, so I don't think you get a
I think we
point for
give him a
that.
point. We give him a point.
We'll give 1 point, but not for the second one.
Yeah,
If
not
Perez would have finished on the podium, would you have given Mark as the losers of the weekend?
No, just
no.
Who would you give the
Yeah.
losers?
I would still award it to. I would give it to Max as a driver alone.
Okay, fair enough.
yeah.
Okay, continue.
So I think he gets half a point for that, right?
The Lando
Half a
prediction.
point.
Come on. Half a
No,
point.
no. We're not
Half,
awarding
half,
that
half.
to him. He does not deserve it. No.
What does
No,
my...
he gets only half a point for winners and losers.
No. That's fine. That's 1 point.
No,
No,
it's
that's fine.
1-1.
One.
It's 1-1.
Okay. Let's continue.
Okay, who's next?
Okay, I'm next. I said Piastri would be a winner and loser would be Russell. I'd give myself a
I'd say
point.
1 point again, no? Piastri
Yeah,
is literally the
Piastri
winner.
winner is correct. So
Piastri is literally the winner. There can't
Okay.
be
the
an
electric.
argument for that. And
Mhm.
Russell for a loser, I can't really give a point because
No,
Russell is
I think a winner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even I don't think so.
And both of them are winners in his predictions. So yeah.
Okay, let's move on.
And next we have Anurag, who said the winners would be McLaren and the losers would be Merc/Red Bull.
I mean,
Yeah, I think I get 2
because
points like as of this.
I think we give him half a point for the loser.
Yeah, I don't think he's.
no,
Okay,
you
we'll give half
can't
a
say
point.
slash. Come on, that's 0
Yeah, you can't say slash.
That's
I
0
can say-
Oh, come on. I mentioned clearly, okay.
That's 0 points.
You just saw
There
I
is
got
no
like
points
more
awarded
points
for
over you
that.
after my like predictions.
No. You said Merc or Red Bull. You didn't pick one.
Yeah, you have to pick one. You
I'll pick Red Bull now.
Yeah,
okay. You can give him half a point if he wants to accept half a point.
But he did say winners
Oh,
of
why
McLaren, so
half
we
a
give him a
point?
point.
Yeah,
for that.
this
Winners
is
of
1.5.
McLaren.
So 1.5.
I get 1.5 point.
Yeah, fine. We'll give him 1.5.
So from next time, I'll just
Sorry.
give the whole grid, right?
Yeah, but next time onwards, we can't name multiple. You have to pick one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Agastya, what about his predictions?
Okay, Agastya said that McLaren would be winners and Ferrari would be losers.
Okay. I mean,
Fun
Ferrari
points.
is a bit debatable because Sainz could have been on the podium, but I still feel it has to be Red Bull. I mean, Leclerc still did
Yeah,
finish
I mean,
second on
see,
track.
technically they are the losers, but they're not outright losers because they did lose that lose converting that pole to a win, and they did had a 1 DNF. But yeah, I wouldn't give myself a point.
Okay, finally, overall, it was a good race, a good discussion as well. We'll see you guys next time for our predictions for Singapore.
Yeah.
Okay. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe. We'll see you next time. Bye.